Welcome back, everyone. Time for BDS versus XL. BDS got one win on the board. Yesterday, they won versus SK. XL, however, still chasing their first win. And I gotta say, when we saw the lineup and when we had already checked on the first day, we were all very carefully excited about what this XL lineup could do because of the combination of players, right, Guldborg? So that really hasn't played out so far. Why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, you talk about the first matches they had. One of them, I think, was the biggest question mark they played against would be G2, because they kind of come in with a new roster as well. Yes, it's new veterans. Either way, G2 came out the gate swinging, and XL dropped the game. Yesterday, they were playing against Koi, and I think that's the one where you didn't actually expect them too much to win. Koi already had that pre-built synergy. So I think for XL, the reason why they've looked like they've struggled is because they've played against the top teams of our league so far.
Yes, but what then didn't work out? Because you have to expect that you can show at least something, right?
Exactly, and I think it comes down to some of those team fundamentals that, for example, Koi had in the beginning, right? Objective setup was still a bit struggling. I think they actually did it a bit better in the game against Koi. Granted, they didn't get too much playtime against G2, but I think it's these fundamental in terms of how they interact with each other. We saw it in the team fights as well. We saw it in some of the 2v2s in the bot lane.
Yeah.
There are small dents where it just didn't really work out yet.
Yeah, you know, you talk about the bot lane not exactly going their way a couple of different times in the 2 versus 2. I mean, this was a constant issue for them. At the same time, you're probably playing against the 2 best bot lanes, dare I say. Maybe it's too early with Hans and Mickey, but the way they've been playing has been class so far here. But also, I think, especially in that Koi game, when it came to the draft, they maybe put themselves in a bit of a narrow way to win out their games. There was a lot of single target damage, the Ahri, the Vi, pick potential, not as easy to execute in team fights.
Yeah, but we also walked away from the game yesterday saying they could have won that one, right?
Sure.
It was super close against them. They almost beat the Cassidy in after 16 as well. So it was a tough task cut out for them in that instance. And once again, I want to take it back to what I said. It's the small things. It's about how do we take out these team fights. It's about how do we make a lead in the early game and transition it into the mid to late game. And I think those things will come automatically. I'm not ready to just let this ship kind of sink just yet. It's certainly still above water, and I think it can thrive.
Yeah, expectations, like they were not the favorites heading into those games. They have the names that maybe they could have gotten a win, and that could have been important. But one thing I would like to continue tracking moving forward in terms of early game is what is Xerxe going to look like, right? He was playing the Vi. I don't think he got as active early on as I would have liked to see. I think in the first like 15 minutes, he had like one ult play that actually resulted in something for his team. But especially for Vetheo coming after a year of playing with Zanzara and just getting spam ganks mid lane all day long, I personally think that's the way to unlock him, and I'd like to see Xerxe take a more proactive approach in the early game.
I would already, honestly, love to see them do what SK just did. Vetheo had his standout games when he was playing the Silence, and he was playing champions that had agency, that let him use the raw mechanical power he had as a player. So having your jungler like Xerxe be a more supportive jungler, go on the Maokai, go on the Sejuani, and try and build up a jungle mid duo to actually get advantages or advantages on the rest of the map would be great, because I haven't really seen all too much of Vetheo just yet.
So you're saying it's not necessarily, from some teams we see that we have the early invades and the early spam gangs and whatever. You just have to cater your plan a little bit more to your strengths, and they're trying to figure out what those are.
Exactly, right? Because we're talking, it's 5 players coming from 5 different teams, a lot of veteran power here as well. Like, they're all going to have different ideas of how to play, but they have to figure that out very quickly. I presented one idea. They might have a completely different read after this weekend, but they're going to have to make it come in quickly because there's only 2 more weeks after this.
Yeah, Markoon was just talking about it. It's so crazy. It goes so fast. A highlight has been Odoamne. We got to stay up in that top lane, but we had a bit of a discussion earlier about how it doesn't always matter. We just saw it. That Cassante was so fed. Do you think that's something they should prioritize?
I think it's something that they're looking to prioritize. Just going off from the first 2 games and how Odoamne has been talking in interviews, he kind of wants to redefine himself a little bit. He doesn't necessarily want to be that weak sider anymore. He wants to be the one that wants to take charge for his own, right? And we've seen it in the game so far when he was playing Cassante against Broken Blade, finding 1v1 solo kills, even in isolated scenarios where his team is not helping him. We saw it on the Renekton yesterday too. And I think we are looking at a style of XL where they want to make it more topside focused. They want to be able to give resources up there. So I am looking at Odo once again today, specifically because he's going up against Adam too, and that's a 2 top laners that don't mind actually getting the lead for themselves.
I have zero doubt in my mind that Odoamne is the stronger player coming into this top lane matchup, but I don't think we are in a region where you can and 1v9 out of the top lane. Maybe that's an option for some LPL teams, but that is not how we roll here in EMEA. And I just think there has to be someone else stepping up for this team.
Just so I'm interpreting it correctly, is it because the top laners aren't strong enough to get that going, or is it because the teams don't play around their top laner enough to get the win off of the top lane lead?
I think historically EMEA teams are very weak at actually like using split push as a win condition, like actually like threatening inhibitor towers, threatening to like break open the game in that way. Apart from like, again, 2019 G2 is the only team that immediately comes to mind that as someone that could do that. Yeah, in terms of team fighting, you're playing top lane. Like, you're not playing mid lane or AD carry the heavy damage dealing roles.
But I actually think we have a meta right now that allows you to try and develop a top lane style if you want to, just because we've seen the Jax as well. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the 1-3-1 that we saw of old. It's a kind of outdated playstyle nowadays. It's about maintaining pressure, move around the enemy on the map, and then it's called shifting when you move it down and you can get a man advantage. And that's really good in terms of setting off of the objective. So if you get a top lane ahead, he requires 2 people to answer him on side lane. You TP in then to go for the objectives. Those are the kind of things we want to see from some of the top laners. And we are early in our season, right? It's only the winter split. So if Odo is really adamant and wanting to become the kind of top laner that can rival international competition, I mean, this is a decent start and you can try and build it up, because to answer your question, I think it goes down to the team thing, because we've seen them solo kill. We just haven't seen them be able to translate it further.
Yeah, and as you say, you know, even though it is a whole season, right, and you have like the better part of a year, I just don't think any of these players are looking at it like that. Like, it's right. You don't want to fall out of that top 8.
No, you want to win the winter split.
You want to win the winter split immediately. When it comes to BDS, though, let's roll into them. We already mentioned the top lane matchup. I was trying to not trigger people by saying we had a delay, but now they can see the players doing that.
Guys, the players just really wanted to play hacky sack, so I'm sorry we had to accommodate for their comfort.
Also,
can we get some of those too? We can just like throw it around like, it's your point here, you get to talk.
It's a peripheral issue, by the way. Sometimes also players apparently went to the bathroom when, you know, they weren't supposed to.
This is a real thing. As a former referee, half of your job is just making sure they don't leave to go to the bathroom 5 minutes before they have to be on stage. It's very hard.
I'm just saying. Hold your pitchforks at some points. Regardless, though, let's talk a little bit about BDS. When you look at everything, I think also because of the historical precedent of, sadly, BDS not doing very well across 2022. They got 1 win on the board, which I think for them is like golden.
That's already 1/3 of what they did in summer, all right? So this early into it, we're on a good track from the side of BDS. But I think as a team, they have already developed from what we saw last year. Last year was a disaster, and I don't have a better word for it, sadly. And this year, they are actually coming in with pieces that can work. Crownie has been having his shining moments. Even Nuke in the mid lane on the Azir has had his highlights, where I was actually quite surprised that they were able to bring this out. And then Sheo, he's a rookie, but despite the level of play that he's up against, it's not necessarily because we've been able to see that. I think from what expectations we had going into BDS, they're matching them and they're setting themselves up to succeed them as well at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know, because at the same time, it's like, who did they beat? It was SK, right?
Yeah, but those are the teams you at least want them to beat,
you
right?
absolutely have to be competing against them. So I'm trying to like take what were like the key takeaways of what worked well. Go
SK
ahead.
won though, so
true.
You know, it's about who's going to be Fnatic.
Sure, they didn't play G2.
Oh my god, we have the reverse move now. Everyone beats everyone, and in the end, Fnatic loses.
No, but okay, so what I was really trying to say after setting that up was, this was a very close game between them and SK. A very back and forth. It wasn't like one team got like a huge advantage out of the early game. And what worked for them, I think, was a lot of nuke in the skirmishes on the roams. That seemed like something that was very up there. But that's something that I'm not sure is easy to replicate, right? On the Akali as a pick. Finding those opportunities. Like, are you going to have a more volatile early game that makes it way harder to play towards top or towards bot in the mid game? That's where things get a little more dicey.
But I also think it's where do we define success for BDS? Because in my opinion, I think if they can make top 8 and build off that going further in, that's the first step for them. That's already a success from what you've achieved in the LEC so far. So that's why I said as well, according to the expectations we had of BDS as a roster, not as a team that's going to win the title, that's why I was so impressed with what they came out with from the beginning, because we have seen some teams struggle with the meta read. And yes, Adam brought out the Olaf, it did not work, but I think that's healthy to have already in your first game to be like, we can keep this in the bag. Let's not bring it out every time.
Everybody knows he loves it, though, so it's not really a trump card.
Where's the Darius? Lob it in there with everything else.
Yeah.
No, I think for me, like, honestly, I could care less, like, looking at our teams like I could care less if like what the result, like, are they winning, are they losing? Like, I actually don't care if they beat SK or they lost SK yesterday. I'm looking at like what were like the key takeaways from that match, and even in their matches against harder opponents as well. So again, I would just like to put a little focus on Nuke as a player for what he was able to accomplish, and see, is that something they will latch on to in drafts? Because it's very likely teams find something in this first week that works, and they try to keep running that in weeks 2 and 3 to make it top 8.
And in the same vein, if you're BDS and you're coming off a win and you're someone like Nuke who, you know, he is still on that roster and very much built around him in a way, right? You have a Crownie who's very much looking to cement himself again as one of the best ADCs in the league. Hopefully, that's obviously in his aspirations. And you're looking at the other side and you're saying, Patrik, oh, well, you're supposed to be this superstar player. It's not working out. Maybe we target that. Vetheo, it's not got to be easy for him. The fact that he hasn't been able to show himself whatsoever in these first 2 games, that stings in your ego. So perhaps that is a window for BDS into this game, and they should definitely approach it from eagle footing. I think it's pretty 50-50 when I look at how these teams have played.
I do wonder like what the ideas that BDS have coming into this game. I mean, really all our teams say it's day 3, right? It's in terms of like your prep coming into the week, yeah, you had all off season, but realistically, that Saturday match is what you're thinking of first, right? You're probably thinking maybe a little bit about Sunday. I doubt these teams have thought too much up until last night about what is going on and what their game plan is going to be here. So to me, it would make a lot of sense if they tried to replicate Sunday's performance.
But I also think if there was one thing I wanted to compliment with BDS, it's the fact that they were flexible. You saw the Heimer Jhin bot lane come out in the beginning, didn't really work, into the Caitlyn Thresh then. And while I think there is some build optimization that could come through from some of the players in terms of how they really level up their game plan from a different point of view.
So nicely. Build optimization.
Exactly. So I gotta be the
so
PG.
Crownie built a lot of life
Yes, I am talking about a few of them. There was also the Warmugs, not Warmugs, but the Thornmail and the Executioner's Calling on the opposite side, though. But it was just a fun game to watch from that optimization point with the builds. But I think in terms of the champions itself, they bring out, they want to experiment. They want to be aggressive. And I'd rather have a team in the early game come out and just completely die because they overforce than have them completely die because they did nothing.
Yeah, now just to quickly follow up on those builds. Obviously, like the Gnar stuff, the double.
We gotta talk.
No time. Thank the Lord. Let's go.
By the way, thank you to Deft for rating the LEC channel. All the Deft viewers, you're very welcome here. Maybe, I hope this is a good game to introduce you to the LEC stream. But it's time for BDS versus XL. I hope. Over to our casters.
Thank you so much, Sjokz. Welcome back to the caster desk. I'm Quickshot, joined by Dagda. We're moments away from introducing Team BDS and XL. And as we get ready for the players to walk out, I immediately want to turn to Dagda and ask you, what are the expectations you have for the draft? I think let's start with Team BDS. When I look at their drafts, the Olaf, the Aatrox, the Akali, Jhin, we're seeing, what was it, the Thresh in the bottom lane. A little bit surprising. You may have to hold that thought because the players are walking out. Thank you so much, Berlin and everybody around the world. Gonna come back to Dagda. Team BDS, slightly different style of approach to the draft.
Yeah, I think it has a very clear philosophy though, right? When you look at like, hey, we're gonna go for Jhin, Heimerdinger, we're gonna go for the Caitlyn. We wanna try and have these pushing lanes that can try and push in, keep themselves relatively safe and be fine on their own. Because when you look at Sheo in the early stages, he's playing towards the aggressive picks, the Aatrox and the Olaf, for Adam in that top side. He's trying to make sure that he can kind of settle into this top side of the map well, and then he'll start to give his attention down towards Crownie and Labrov.
Of course, for XL, They have lost 2 games already, but it was to G2 and Koi. The Ahri not having the impact we were looking for. What do you want to see from XL adaptation-wise today against BDS?
Yeah, one of the big things for me is that I've noticed XL have just had very low damage compositions, especially yesterday when we saw, okay, Lucian Nami usually goes well, but immediately lost out in the 2v2. Well, then you're only relying on an Ahri to try and carry, or we saw the Syndra that's actually been banned away coming in for XL as well. I want to see something that was paired, alongside a Poke Varus. So I want to see something that can actually be more consistent damage coming from both the mid lane and us the bot side, just giving yourself options to bring it back into the game when they do fall behind.
And I think for XL, I'm also looking at this game to see the players live up to some of the expectations we had for them. I think anticipation and hope was high for XL to perform this winter, but against G2 and Koi didn't necessarily have the impact they were looking for. And yesterday was a competitive game against Koi. Both of these squads have actually lost to Koi this weekend. Now we need to see what XL and BDS will do on the Rift, as Syndra, Yuumi, Heimer, Ryze, Lucian, and Sylas are banned away. Maokai has been one of those high priority picks. Xerxe is still open as well. We need to see what direction they're going to go. If BDS continue the trend of playing maybe to comfort in their own style, a little bit away from the meta.
I think it'll be the Maokai that they end up locking in. I think Maokai is incredibly strong. I think Sheo's been very, very good at, finding success in stabilizing his lanes when things do go a little bit awry for BDS. Yeah, I was going to say he played the Sejuani yesterday, but actually surprised to see that they prioritized that. I think you could more than expect XL to be happy to take the Maokai, and I think they were kind of expecting to have that trade coming through here, which is why we're seeing a kind of bit of question marks going across as they try and figure out. But I think, take the Maokai here. You can always go for the Xerxe in that bot side if you want as well, and then just look for something like the Yuumi in that third rotation.
Of course, that Xerxe will tick the box in my mind for that consistent DPS, something that you're hoping to see from XL. Maokai has been locked in, not a huge surprise, but the question is what comes next. And also, what does Sheo want to pair with this Sejuani? I'm going to see some of those AP mages in the middle lane, as Patrik will be locking in the Varus. So if he goes on hit, maybe Dagda will be happy. Depends on the rest of the comp, of course.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the rest of us. That's kind of my biggest worry, is that you need to have something that can provide a little bit more stability here. Seeing the Caitlyn looks immediate lock-in, though, means we will get the Karma here. Varus Karma has kind of come out as the go-to in a lot of situations. Push and answer for Caitlyn looks. It means it's very, very difficult to actually try and push in that wave, especially when you go for the poke and the lethality style Varus. So should be totally fine for XL, but I think this does lean then into, what does Vetheo want to try and play in this mid lane? Because his most played last year was the Sylas, but he needs to step up as a more kind of consistent damage carry. So maybe something like the Victor that he played last year could be the plan.
Could be very useful, especially with all the CC and zone control available on XL's roster. But exactly like you said, Dagda, Team BDS's kind of identity approach to their first weekend of games. Get that pushing bottom lane, try to shove in. The Thresh was a little bit of an anomaly, and now we've seen the Lux this time around for Labrov. XL taking their time on this phase 2 ban. Will remove Renekton from the pool. Deny that one from Adam, and Adam's one of those top laners that you kind of know what his pool is, but you don't know when he's going to dip into it.
Yeah, which is nice now for Odoamne, because he will be able to get the counter pick that I imagine they're going to leave from here on last pick red side. You can go for a bit more of a blind pick here for Vetheo if you want to just go towards the Victor, especially with like the Ryze gone. Chances are Nuke will answer with an Azir, but Jace's going to be the takeaway there. So it looks like maybe Adam's eyeing up something like the Nar pick that XL may just look to ban away here.
Let's find out what happens in this next little moment. For the time being, really, really interesting and slow approach to the draft, because both sides, the priorities being a bit skewed, shall we say. That Sejuani throwing things a little kilter. The Kassadin will be the ban away by XL, closed up by the Nasa, reading into that one for the moment. Asante still up and available. Direction does XL want to go? If they lock in their top lane now, leaving counter pick for Vetheo in the mid lane, which is one of the players that want to see him have a larger impact on the course of the game. Gonna flip around this last second here, Dagda. What do you make of the pace of this so far? Because it does feel very drawn out.
Yeah, I think the big reason was I think XL were expecting the Maokai to go over, and now they're trying to readjust to figure out exactly what the game plan will be. Odo going to go for the Jax though, which I think is definitely a bit of a different look for Odoamne. We usually think of him going towards, I mean, we saw like the tanks covered already, but I like the Jax. I think Jax is an incredibly strong spot, especially since the rework. He is just a menace when he actually gets going, and even the fact that you've got that ultimate giving you a bunch of armor and magic resist, if you can hit multiple people, means you can be such a threat. But you talked about the Adam champions that we're immediately going to get.
I mean, exactly. Darius nearly immediately into that Jax. Considering Odo's got over 550 professional games, he's only played Jax twice before. This will be the third time. Both of those were victories. Akali was now locked in for nuke, and Vetheo's got to find what does he run into it.
Yeah, I feel like an Azir is a bit of a no-brainer here. It makes it very hard for the Akali to try and play into the team. Also very difficult then for something like a Darius to try and play into it. But there's been whispers of Twisted Fate trying to play in. But again, if you're going to go for this like poke-style Varus in the bot side, you are now heavily reliant on Odo to be that other side of the coin when it comes to the DPS in these team fights.
Unbelievable. So TF now locked in. Some pick power available, split push power available. Dagda, how do these two teams win with their respective compositions?
I mean, the big one you're going to be looking at here is going to see, hey, can we actually get Vetheo out of this mid lane to try and play for side lanes? Now, at the moment, it looks pretty good. Akali, not exactly a massive threat when it comes towards push or priority in these early stages. So I think we're going to see Vetheo playing heavily towards Odoamne, trying to punish Adam. And that has kind of been a lot of the choices that we've seen teams go for when playing up against BDS. We saw Shigenda get this massive lead, thanks to Maokai going for a quick gank into the top side as well as Koi. So I imagine it's going to be a case of, hey, keep Adam in check, set our Jax up as that secondary DPS, and then try and go in towards the late game where we're playing side lanes properly, getting down towers, and making the map uncomfortable for BDS.
And the man that's going to be responsible for that will be Vetheo on that Twisted Fate. What sort of impact will he have on those side lanes? And also, what level of control will we see out of Adam in the top lane? We know he likes to play forward. We know he likes to get in everybody's face. But against a Twisted Fate and a Maokai, that is also an opportunity to be punished. Team BDS taking on Xerxe. Let's load up onto Summoner's Rift. Oh, Dagda, we've got a brawl.
Hit him!
In the bottom lane. Little bit of a poke back and forth. And this actually is a good start here because I want to focus on these two duo lanes for the moment. Crownie and Labrov leaning into this heavy push style of play. They are still going to be sticking around. I don't think a big fight will break out. Let's find out as Odo steps forward. Doesn't find the stun, and everybody now will start to disperse. But as I was mentioning, Crownie and Labrov, they do have shown a penchant for pushing lanes 2 of the 3 games with those duos. They are going to be trying to get some control, but into a Varus Karma, it is going to be very difficult. Both lanes have got exceptional wave clear.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult too. I mean, Karma basically walks up, Qs the lane level 1, and then from that point on, Labrov just really finds it difficult to try and match that push, especially just because the Karma, her Q is up about 2 seconds quicker than Labrov's E is, and also does more consistent damage. You're not even including the fact you've got access to the mantra Q as well, so it becomes very hard to try and get push in this wave. So already you can see Targamas immediately Qs that wave, and you've already got that push going. The big question for me though is kind of looking like, how does this then impact Crownie and Labrov? Because for Sheo, he needs to come down and try and break the hold that should be there, but actually, good job here from BDS.
So much damage onto Patrik. Cleanse already used. Crownie will turn the damage around onto Labrov. He's got that flash available to him. Sheo now waiting in the wings. Flashes over under the tower. Patrik gets away. Targamas still under threat. Nobody dies just yet. 1, 2, 3 summoner spells used for Xerxe's bottom lane. Only the one from Labrov and Crownie.
I mean, that was really well played by Targamas. Doesn't get baited in by Labrov going, hey, you know, maybe you can kill me, you flash after this, because he was aware that chances are Sheo was going to go for some sort of weird play. Doesn't quite get the kill, but does give the advantage to BDS. They'll get to crash the wave, they'll get to set up, and that was the big win for Sheo on that play.
Is it fair to say that Patrik and Targamas have been bullied a little bit in the opening levels of their previous games, and this time they at least have their lives?
I mean, it definitely has been, right? I mean, they went up against Mickey and Hansama. They immediately ran afoul of the level 1 of the Heimerdinger. They also end up 2v2 killed yesterday by Koi as well, but at the moment at least, they did play that bot lane fairly well. Just unfortunate that they had to give up so much CS thanks to Sheo getting involved.
I mean, the reason that I asked that question is the expectations now for Patrik and Targamas. They will need to develop and be able to stand toe-to-toe with those two respective teams. They get away with their lives this time around, but no summoner spells. And they've got to be very, very careful. The light binding will connect. That's a lot of burst damage. Flash forward, first blood. Crownie and Labrov. Targamas cannot reply back. 1-0 BDS.
And I mean, it looks like the trend is kind of continuing. Targamas and Patrik haven't really found a good footing in these bot lane scenarios. Now, obviously going up against G2 and Koi, like two of the best bot lanes that the LEC has to offer, that is going to be a big struggle. But Crownie and Labrov, thanks to Sheo, finding that success now against XL's bot lane as well.
And I mean, that's the thing that XL, if you start to see these trends, need to be aware of, need to factor into their gameplay. Odoamne is being shoved in very deep, apprehended backwards, and a lot of damage from Adam.
And now you got both sides of the map losing for XL. We said, hey, look, Patrik is trying to step up to be, you know, a bit more of that damage, has gone for the poke Varus, not going to have that consistent damage. Now your Sjokz is getting bullied as well. And I mean, this is just really good play from Labrov and Crownie. Fake the reset, so XL's bot lane thinks they can get the push out. And this is just the power of the Caitlyn looks. The second you land that CC, it's lights out for the enemy AD carry.
Such a great combo. There's minions stepping forward. Clear, easy shot for Labrov. That will give Crownie a 600 gold lead for now. He's already picked up that Ninquiver, returning back to lane. I think for that top lane, a lot of CS secured. The wave has been shoved all the way back to tower. Adam will make his way back up there.
I think the big one here is as well the fact that Adam has actually gotten good control on this top side, despite the fact Sheo went for that early level 2 gank bot. Xerxe hasn't really got in. Yes, he has a CS advantage, but a CS and a Maokai isn't really going to mean too much. I now need to see Xerxe try and actually stabilize both his bot and his top side a little bit to make sure they're good. Odo does have a good CS lead though, able to pick up all those creeps under the tower, so at least focus should be on bot side for XL.
And of course, both of these respective top laners, different story for the champion picks. Odoamne, this is his 3rd ever Jax out of 550 games. For Adam, on the other side of the rift, there's about 140, 150 odd games. He's got 11 of them with Darius, and he's won 7. It's one of those picks that is a bit of a signature one. He's got himself pentakills with that particular champion, and I think if he's able to be unlocked and get the resets on that Nox and Guillotine, can absolutely take over games. But I do want to keep an eye on the vision. I want to keep an eye on how far he pushes into Odo, because he is a player that does tend to be punished. But for now, this is a game just about bottom lane. Dagda's Labrov has been caught out, knocked backwards. Sheo arrives, it's a little bit late. Patrik with a kill.
I'm surprised that that went as well as it did for XL. I was about to praise Sheo, right? He got that deep ward, has a ward as well, just to the blast cone there. So they're trying to make sure they can keep those advantages bot side. But Labrov, I mean, you spotted Maokai over the ward. Maybe he was caught up by the water walking Xerxe had, but just completely out of position there and punished really well by XL.
Yeah, nicely done. Labrov, he needed that flash away from Targamas during that trade earlier to stay alive, and the fact it's down means he's punished.
And this is what I was talking about, right? Xerxe does get spotted, and this is why you can see Sheo reacts really well. He's like, cool, I'm going to move up, but you can see the water walking and the speed up off the crab. Seems like he just caught Labrov out of position. There was no need to try and go for this. Like, Sheo would have been able to just play safe there, make sure that you're able to push that wave in, but instead gives that advantage across to XL. Now they get Dragon, they get a kill onto Patrik to help him kind of work out the fact that he's a Ninquiver down. So this is really good now for XL.
Yeah, that kill is very, very important in Patrik's back pocket. It's only a 400 gold difference, despite the fact that that lane has been bullied and pushed back. But I do think Xerxe showing his face down this bottom lane, Sheo again, both teams committing to the duos for now, as both Adam and Odo continue to just trade back and forth. They've hit their respective level 6s, as has Vetheo. So I want to keep an eye on how he plays and how he uses that Destiny, as a potential 2v2 is being set up. Sheo's going to get bullied and pushed back just a little bit. Don't think the damage is there. Labrov will join the fray. Prismatic goes out. Xerxe locked in place for the time being. And perfect execution from Nuke. He gets the kill. There was a solo up top as well, by the way.
I mean, great job by Labrov there to manage to get that one. As you say, Adam getting the solo kill as well. Excel. This game is starting to fall apart despite the fact that it wasn't really yours to begin with, to be honest.
No, I mean, the thing is, it's a 600 gold lead for now, but it's more about the control of the lanes. That solo kill, let's see how this one plays out. I'm just going to imagine it's actually Odo that starts it off, Dagda.
Yeah, I mean, manages to hop immediately into the queue. I mean, that's not really going to do particularly much as well. Even the flash as well coming through from Odo, but I mean, that's the power of the Darius. And I mean, for Odo, it's a bit unfortunate, right? That wave is pushing out. He kind of has to go for this trade, otherwise Adam can freeze it, lose a significant amount. But with Xerxe not being able to make his way back up in time to that top side, because he was going for the play mid, it all starts to fall apart. So we're seeing the cracks begin to form, and forming new cracks as well across the map.
And I think some of the experience there in terms of the matchup is playing into Adam's favor, stepping back, using that decimate at max range. The minion wave now crashing underneath the tower. Xerxe and Vetheo making their way up. Nature's Grasp is available. There is no teleport for Nuke. I was pondering if they'd consider the dive. Not going to do so just yet. And instead, set up some vision for Rift Herald. XL starting to fall a little bit behind, but let's not forget the fact that Vetheo with that Destiny can have a gigantic impact on any of those side lanes if XL can curate the lane state to gank.
Yeah, I think the big problem though is that like BDS are just like, hey, look, you can go and do your Rift Herald right now. With the nerf that we saw to Rift Herald, us just getting plates on bot side is actually going to do wonders for us. And even trying to find timing windows to really work around this Rift Herald is going to be tough because, I mean, Sheo's hovering around mid with the push they're consistently getting because of the advantage Crownie has on bot side. Now Labrov is unlocked to try and keep Vetheo in check. So it's no longer just Nuke trying to keep Vetheo down. It's the entire bot side and jungle of BDS making sure this TF can't get onto the map.
And look at the jungle for the time being. Adam's going to clear out that blue buff himself, start off the Grump, and now start to defend the tower. Xerxe is waiting in the wings. Nuke was hovering for a moment or two, looking if anyone will be caught out of position. And Xerxe needs to use this Rift Herald in an advantageous way because XL are now starting to fall behind. The damage gap starting to fall behind. The gold gap, Patrik, as well as Targamas. Now going to at least take potentially one of those plates.
Yeah, the big win for Xerxe trying to get that Rift Herald down is that BDS are terrified of this Twisted Fate. You saw him leave just a small bit up towards this top side of the map, but
that's the engage. Patrik has been jumped on. The ultimate thrown out. Rooted in place from Targamas. One step forward and Nuke finds himself another kill. Vetheo completes the Destiny and the gate, but it's too late to have an impact. And BDS just find a great roam and a second kill for Nuke.
I mean, Vetheo just gone for the reset there, thinking he had a bit of time to pick up that Catalyst of Aeons, but unfortunately now again, just that timing window punishing Patrik once more. This is really well orchestrated by BDS. The fact that you got that the Destiny up from Vetheo as well, means that he doesn't have that threat on the map, and it's just great timing. I mean, look at where Vetheo is. He's only just got back to lane. He's now going to shove in. He even got Sheo there to cover the wave, and Nuke just utilizing that timing so incredibly well to pick himself up a kill on the backside.
I mean, there was no vision in the river or the jungle for XL. They had, it looked to me like no idea that Nuke was even on the way. So he picks up the easy kill, and I want to just double down on what you just said, Dagda. No Destiny for Vetheo means no proactive plays for a little while.
And I was just about to praise XL, right? Vetheo leans topside. Immediately you get Labrov, Nuke, Sheo all leaning to go and protect Adam. And that's the kind of play you can make to open up space for this Rift Herald. Now that you don't have Destiny, though, that becomes so much more difficult to use that as a threat to find openings on the map for the Rift Herald. And I mean, you can already see, right, halfway through, what lane do you try and put this in? Sheo is keeping his lanes in check, and this has been something he's been so good at doing the last 3 days.
Very nicely done. I think for Adam, keep in mind he's not running that teleport, got the Ghost and the Flash. So that does also mean BDS need to be extra diligent with how they move around the map, where, you know, the second dragon has spawned. It looks as though BDS are trying to set up some vision, maybe apply some pressure on that bottom lane tower, could peel back to the dragon. If they wanted to get Adam down. He needs to move early. For now, he's happy in that lane, pushing into Odo and trying to keep him in check.
Yeah, and I mean, Sheo once more moving in towards this mid lane. Like, if I am a player like Adam or even like Crownie who wants to go for these more push-orientated champions, I want a jungler like Sheo. He doesn't care that he's down in CS. His job is, I am going to make sure that I just match wherever the hell this enemy jungler is going, and I'm always going to be there to protect my laners, which opens up Crownie and Labrov to play super aggressive, opens up Adam to go aggressive in the top side as well. Sheo knows exactly what his team needs, and he's orchestrating the map beautifully.
I mean, that little exchange there, trading damage on the plates for the chain of corruptions as well as that final spark. Odo's going to be forced to leap away. The damage from Adam already is just shredding through Odo. And now we're going to go again. Just push this bottom lane. Look for this tower. Another plate secured. Force Patrik back. No flash available for him. Nuke and Sheo can hop over this wall in just a moment. And look at the minimap. Xerxe now trying to get involved. Steps forward, and this is just to keep Odo alive.
How do you get involved in that top side, though?
Man.
I mean, that would be a 2-for-1 special going over to Adam, immediately getting both those kills. And now Sheo opened up to go for this. BDS, this is so well played, and they're playing it slow. They're not giving XL the opportunities to get into this. They need to find a way now for Vetheo to actually lean into these sides, try and put band-aids over this bleeding, because at the moment, it's everywhere for XL.
I mean, for the time being, XL don't have a chance to breathe because they are just being shoved in and pressure is being applied everywhere. So this is a great start, the first 13 minutes, leaning in favor of BDS. What is the next step that you want to see them take? That bottom lane tower is nearly going to be taken out. The top lane has been under pressure, but only one plate has been pushed in.
I mean, the fact that they're setting up for these dragons is perfect. Even the fact that you can then start to leverage this into, hey, we're going to take bot. Then as Rift Herald's about to come up in a minute's time, chances are off this bot lane push, tower goes down, rotate Caitlyn top just in time for Rift Herald, start to put pressure onto the top tower, which has already got a decent amount of damage done thanks to Adam. Like, it becomes a very simple to execute game plan with the Caitlyn. And this whole time, right, you can't really pressure the lane state anymore as Vetheo because there's 2 kills and you've got that Hextech Proto to complete onto Akali. You step into a lane, she kills you in an instant. Level 11 just hit as well.
I mean, that's going to be terrifying to deal with. The fact that we're on the Hextech Rift again is actually, I think, a small benefit here for BDS because of the fact that Adam doesn't have that teleport, a little bit of extra mobility, the potential to jump in from the back line for either the Darius or the Sejuani. Those are tools that, once again, have to be factored in for XL because they are the ones that are being pushed. They are the ones that are under threat. We're setting up a little bit of vision here for this Rift Herald. We saw it dropped in the middle, got a couple of plates for Vetheo, but not a gigantic impact. XL once again looking to challenge for this objective.
I think XL are doing the right things here, though. They're already going, okay, if we can get our side lane set up, maybe we can try and make a play, get our vision in river. So as our BDS start to move up towards this objective, maybe we can catch them out. But honestly, if I'm Labrov and Crownie, I don't go over aggressive here. Instead, I just go to lane, push in waves, and fall back to the Rift Herald, where you can then use that presence in topside to clear out all that vision as you see right now, and then force XL back out of this objective contest.
We're looking for some patience here, for some control from BDS. Put your hand on your younger sibling's forehead, hold him back and say, you can't hit me. Use the range to your advantage, use the itemization to your advantage as well. I mean, just compare this for the time being, Kraken Slayer, Zeal, as well as Berserker's Greaves on this Caitlyn. He's going to be able to shred through pretty much anybody at this time. Dagda, it looks like XL are being engaged on inside the river. Xerxe is going to go over the wall. Crownie flashes to follow. BDS 4-man stacked. Here comes Nuke. Targamas is run low. The Chain of Corruption holds a few in place. Not going to find that gold card just yet. Rift Herald down to 7,000 and BDS back away. XL win the fight.
I mean, it was just mechanical errors from BDS there, really coming back to bite them. Sheo going wide on the ultimate. Labrov going over the wall with Crownie as well, only to find Xerxe come over too. I mean, unfortunately, BDS, it's a swing and a miss, and XL, they get that counter punch really well.
I mean, it is still only a 1,300 gold difference. And I know that is fairly significant because it's all in Crownie's Caitlyn, but XL have been able to stay fairly relevant. They've only lost 1 tower over the course of the 16 minutes of gameplay. And they do still have opportunities to come back into this game, especially when you look at the Varus and the Sjokz as they continue to build their items.
And I love that this was the exact example of what actually happens when you try to keep your younger sibling away with the hand on the head, because they find some way of getting underneath your hand and then they just swing for the knees. But here we go, Adam.
Oh, the bleed, tick, tick, tick. And Adam once again picking up that solo kill. He really, really understands the damage and when to engage. I mean, he committed the flash for that one and worked out flawlessly.
I mean, it's so annoying to try and play against the good Darius, because as you say, they know exactly the ranges, they know how much damage that bleed's going to do. The guillotine going to do so much work as well as you stack up that passive. But I mean, at least it's something back for BDS. Rift Herald is still in the pocket of XL, and for BDS, I think having Caitlyn now move up towards that top side to try and get down that last third, just to start moving her around the map is probably your best bet. And for XL, it's a case of, hey, can we now, when Destiny comes back up with Vetheo, try and interrupt some of these map movements from BDS, catch them as they try to move and transition across the map?
I mean, BDS, I want to see how they play a more open map. Because of the fact they've got this Darius, he's got the Ghost and the Flash, I'm intrigued to see how they utilize the advantage that he's generated in terms of dealing with that Twisted Fate, working with the Vision. Right now, we've been in extended laning phase. He's been able to basically bully and beat up Odo, but that ability to pick on a single person does begin to dwindle as the map becomes more open.
And I think as well, if you're XL, you're kind of going, right, we're just going to sack top tower for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Adam can't take top lane, but we've now got Rift Herald in mid, with the TP on Odo, we've got Dragon in 15. XL need to try and force a 5v5 and utilize the fact that you can't play the map as wide as if you're BDS.
I mean, Odoamne's got that teleport available to him. Patrik and that little siege missed the chain of corruption. Adam, no flash, no ghost, is caught out by the gold card and shut down secured. Odo getting some much needed gold. While that is happening, XL, are they under threat of an engage? I think the answer is yes. That's the proto belt forward. Patrik sidesteps one. He's got the cleanse, but no flash. Chunking down, and Nuke gets the kill. Now Xerxe and Odo trying to find another target. As there's another kill on the back end. As all of a sudden, Sheo's been jumped on. 3 members of XL. They have punished BDS for starting the fight. They lost 1 and gained 2.
And the problem there was BDS tried to match the roam for 2 topside by XL. If you immediately go on mid lane with Sheo's ultimate, with Nuke going that aggressive, you can kind of trade 1 for 1 mid 4 top side, then still be able to threaten the Dragon. But because they lost all that push in mid, they then overextend to make the pick answer in the mid lane, and XL respond beautifully with the TP coming in from Odoamne.
Really nicely done. The second Dragon secured. Vetheo is trying to defend this top tower. And I think we're going to be in the situation where if these big team fights happen and BDS are ready, they have the tools to win, but you have to hit these skill shots. It's a second skirmish in a row where there's just been a few things go a little wide and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, the big one there, Patrik hadn't gone that far underneath third. Nuke probably healthy enough to try and join back in. Targamas, great shot coming through there. But again, I mean, it's the TP coming in from Odo, from Vetheo here, to make sure that they're then outnumbering BDS once more. So XL, again, playing the map better. So even though this early game hasn't gone their way, they're now clawing their way bit by bit back in, and getting these Dragons, especially as a team that wants to try and play side lanes, will buy you a good amount of time. It's just a question of how much time do you need when Odo is slightly behind.
Yeah, and of course for XL, they've lost their first 2 games of Winter. There was a fair amount of hype and excitement around what this roster could do, what the potential was. They're staring down the potential of a 0-3 opening week. BDS, on the other hand, surprising a little bit throughout the course of the games. I think this early game really has stood out. Clear game plan, clear focus. They managed to build those advantages through proactive play, and they are in a position where they're still in the lead, but they cannot concede more Dragons.
And I think that's where a lot of BDS fans are kind of pulling their hair out. It's like, if we could just get the mid game in order, we could actually be such a massive threat for some of these teams. I mean, XL, packed to the brim with talent, right? But BDS find that way to play at the early game, play through strong lanes, but it's when it gets to objective setups, how do we want to try and play the map? And I think that's what XL are kind of calling them here with this composition is, hey, look, we don't think BDS really understand how they can play map states out correctly, wave states correctly, so we're going to play for a composition that can run amok if you misstep on those wave pressures.
And this is now the time that XL can take over. With the Destiny, with the additional teleport, with the ability to hold a lane with a Karma, Varus, and allow your solo laners to split push, and couple all of that with a significant amount of experience difference, this is the time that I think XL need to try and claw things back, because it's clear that they were beaten up and bullied from the early game, and BDS were able to generate that lead and that advantage. But now they've got the tools, but they do have to use it. I think Vetheo, level 14, got his rapid fire cannon built now, second item secured. Those destinies have not been used super successfully or proactively. 1 kill in the top lane. He needs to do a little bit more over the next few minutes as Adam is looking for yet another kill. Xerxe arrives just in time on the minimap. Vetheo and Targamas were waiting as well, but BDS, they may fancy a shot at Baron.
Yeah, Patrik takes a shot at Labrov though, nearly half health him, so BDS gonna try and make a play. Vetheo didn't commit the Destiny to bot side, so I think BDS just have to back away from this one. Will do so, and it kind of all comes back to nothing, but I mean, blowing that Destiny on to help Odoamne is really crucial. So Adam, even if he's not playing, teleport to get into these map states, he's pulling resources from XL that is making this Darius make work on the map happen.
I mean, it's so important. There's cooldown timers for the teleport and the Destiny. BDS need to keep them under control in order to allow Adam to keep pushing ahead. He's 500 gold up, around 50 CS for the time being, and has clearly had the better of Odo throughout the course of this passage of play. With a minute and a half until the next dragon, XL have already got 2. If they make their way towards that soul, that can be one of those tools needed.
Yeah, one of the big problems that we're seeing for BDS, though, is that they can't get down this mid lane tower, right? They haven't been able to crack it because you've got the 2 items hit for Patrik. So BDS are kind of stuck in a position where XL can turtle super effectively in underneath their own tower. And now with that minute until dragon, as you were kind of alluding to, this is where you're seeing, okay, we just set up our position here. We can always face check with Xerxe. We've got great ultimates that can buy space, even buy vision for us with Vetheo. And again, look to see if we can make a quick pick onto someone like Crownie as he's overextended, or even Nuke if he's trying to transition between lanes, like for Vetheo in that top side, who's just unanswered right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 3 towers at 23 minutes. Finally, Vetheo should be able to secure the second for XL. That mid wave was pushed all the way to the tower. It's now been cleared out after BDS set up some level of vision inside XL's blue buff. Now they're backing out. Adam forced to flash over the wall, stays alive. Final spark has been used as well. Mid wave is now being pushed in. This tower, if it falls, it could unlock a lot for BDS. Xerxe holding on to that Nature's Grasp. Teleport coming in from behind. Nuke needs to find a squishy. Needs to find Patrik or Vetheo. Vetheo's a little bit split away from the team. Destiny has been used. Gold card primed. Manages to escape. In terms of river control, it feels like BDS could step into that river. XL are a little bit split up. Labrov is being chunked down. That rapid fire cannon doing so much here for Vetheo. And XL, they've started the dragon.
Yeah, Cosmic Drive just completed for Vetheo off that last reset, so he hits relatively hard, especially when you're thinking of that Twisted Fate. Even getting the change coming in on the new patch where his blue card and his red card hit harder, and Labrov kind of finding that one off. But XL, they managed to get the dragon really nicely done there. Playing at the map again. Vetheo threatening top tier 1. Resets come back out now. Got a bit dicey where XL hadn't done their due diligence of clearing out the wards that were placed in behind them, but you're starting to see how XL can play the map to actually get answers to the pressure that BDS are trying to put down.
And I mean, for BDS, they were looking for opportunities. They were trying to force the engage. They were pushing that mid wave into the tower, but it didn't net anything. It wasn't able to force XL to make a misstep and to be punished. So now we're in the scenario where XL 1 dragon away from the soul. And for BDS, they haven't actually been able to push past that river really this entire game, despite the strong starts.
But the problem is they don't have any TPs left, right? So if you go off in your lonesome past river, you're on your own. Like, there's no one coming to help you, whereas for Odoamne, he can TP in to help Vetheo. Vetheo can Destiny in to help his side lanes or even his mid lane. So it becomes very hard for BDS to actually get control to make these plays happen. They needed to try and find ways to force these fights at the dragons, at the objectives, but they're not getting that opportunity because they're a little bit behind on the pace when it comes to those side lanes.
And of course, not being able to take down those towers earlier to allow a wave to be pushed and built up past the river, draw resources, force Odo back to his inner turret. I think that top tower only fell at like 18, 19 minutes-ish in game. So the fact that XL were able to like defend and turtle and hold on has been huge. Also, every time they stare down one another, the poke from Twisted Fate, Varus, and this Karma is just blowing the HP bars on BDS, so they can't start the engages because they're consistently 30-40% HP down.
It's also, I mean, if Vetheo finds Labrov, he has 7 levels on him.
Yeah.
It is going to absolutely destroy Labrov. And when you kind of need Sheo and Labrov to be working together to establish that vision, to allow you to set up correctly where you're like, okay, we are safe to push forward here. Well, then that does again draw resources away from Nuke, from Adam, who really need them to actually try and get control. So we're in this weird stalemate right now where BDS, if they can try and play at the map state right and wait until these dragons, they can find fights. They can find the damage, especially with Infinity Edge just around the corner for Crownie. But if they just allow XL to continuously shove out waves and they're not matching them, that's where it can be a problem.
I mean, you couldn't have 2 more different games. The previous one we just played was all team fights all day, pretty much over any objective. This time round, both teams really unable to get any semblance of deep control. We've pushed up to that first line of towers, and we've fallen back. Xerxe has thrown out that Nature's Grasp. Won't be able to catch out at least Labrov, but there's nothing more to follow it up. The Destiny was used by Vetheo. Odoamne is pushing on that bottom lane. Teleport available for him. Piercing Arrow comes out. Chain of Corruption was thrown in as well. The tower still stands. BDS have not broken it, have not been able to unlock that movement, whereas XL were able to get that split push.
Look, XL are all about the PvE here, right? That tower didn't stand a chance against Odoamne. But XL now starting to move over again, get vision around the Baron. Like, this is the way you play it as XL. And look, it is a very slow pace, but this is what works for XL. And unfortunately, BDS, they just can't keep up with how mobile XL are on the map.
No, and not having the tools, not having that additional teleport, and not being able to force XL's hand to come to you or to force those fights. I think we saw an attempt at Baron, we saw the attempt at Dragon, and it just fizzled.
But if you try and make a pick, you've got 1 cleanse on Vetheo, 1 cleanse on Patrik. You've also got a Chaos Blessing for Karma. They're just like, no, you don't get to. You never ever get to try and make a pick here as BDS. So maybe when they made it on Dragon now, they can try and make something happen. But honestly, if I'm XL, I like what they're trying to set up here, right? Look where Odo is. I know he's resetting, but if you can double up both these split pushers in 1 lane, catch someone unaware, especially someone like Nuke, that's where you can actually make really quick plays happen. And you don't actually have to try and contest for Dragon, because although Solo's really nice, a second Dragon going to BDS doesn't really mean the end of the world, and opening up and pushing back BDS is significantly more important. But we may not get that point because Vetheo resetting now, level 18. Looks like XL are going to take the fight.
All right, BDS,
never mind. He cancelled the reset. Yeah. I take everything back. I'm sorry, we're staying boring.
Not going to happen. I mean, it's just one of these scenarios. You explained it. The way the composition from XL works is what we're seeing on screen. They play it slow, play for the side lanes, get the teleport out of Nuke at some point, and then just use the tools that you have, you know, more. The only thing is, I will say that as XL are playing this one out, they also cannot afford to get caught out around a Dragon or around a Baron. There's Patrik using that cleanse, Ace in the hole fires out, Xerxe and Sheo standing strong on the front lines as the top laners now join. Odoamne sitting behind the members of BDS, level 16 secured. XL do not need to force this. It's only the second Drake for BDS, but they will look to chase. XL's got the gold card. Vetheo throws it out, catches out onto Adam. He's ghosted, looking for the upper hand, and it misses. Dragon secured, soul picked up by XL. Patrik is low, he's down, he's taken out by Nuke, who continues to chase onto Xerxe and Targamas. 5 members of BDS looking to kill XL. Vetheo's got the gold card and backing away. Soul goes to XL, but BDS get the kill.
I don't know if they're just going to rush Baron as well. Honestly, I think they can. With Patrik dead, no real damage available, but I mean, that was a close one there. BDS, you can see Adam basically forcing 2 people away, but at the end of the day, XL will just about manage to sneak this objective.
Now, of course, BDS have a little bit of time. 17 seconds before Patrik is up. He's still going to make the walk from the fountain. Teleport is available for Odo. Does have a little bit of backup. Xerxe stepping into the river. Destiny's a few seconds away. Crownie's picked up that Infinity Edge to complement the Rapid Fire Cannon and that Kraken Slayer. He's left alone to get a few shots off. He will burn through anybody. Vetheo steps forward. All right, Patrik has respawned, making his way forward. The prison thrown out and finds nobody. And the roots will lock down Sheo. The Baron has been stopped. XL have the soul. And this is crucial as the siege is continuing. Flashes up for Adam, but he's not going to pull the trigger.
I think BDS needs to go immediately after that dragon fight. Go for the Baron. You don't give time for Vetheo to reset, get his health bar back, for Odo to reposition as well. They were so far out of it. Now XL, they know that they're in a good spot. They're the ones that are turning on towards it. And I mean, BDS, they have to try and push through here.
They have to try. 5,000 hit points on the Baron. Vetheo stepping into the river. Adam gets a two-man apprehend, throws out the decimate. Odo is going golden with that hourglass. Xerxe tries to get one back, a trade of kills. Top laners for top laner. Chase continues as Veteo's chasing onto Nuke on the sidelines. The wildcards won't find him. He dashes over the wall. Waiting to find another proc from the gold card. Labrov is held in place. Xerxe throws the little sapling over the wall, and Labrov stays alive. Nuke now looking for the re-engage. He manages to find one. That's another kill for Crownie. BDS, they're turning this onto XL. 1, 2, 3 kills secured. And all of a sudden, BDS control the game. They control the river. They control the Baron.
And Patrik has to run. BDS can turn over. Can Patrik make some sort of miracle play here? Get a kill, get some damage out. I mean, Sheo's so low, and I mean, we've seen from Worlds what these empowered arrows can do from Varus, but it looks like Patrik doesn't even want to go for it.
There's no vision. I don't think he knows how low they are. Instead, takes the tower and backs away. And we're in another scenario where BDS's composition, if it's given time, if it's able to skirmish and fight, it shines. Patrik is likely to be run down here. As Nuke is dashing forward, looking for that kill, and he finds it. 6, 1, and 3 on the Akali. And the composition from XL just over-chased and didn't find the execution.
I mean, the fact that Patrik gets hit here by this great flash of the pull-in here from the Darius is fantastic. Sets up beautifully for BDS. All that damage coming over the top from the Caitlyn, the Lux as well. And this is where, obviously, XL are like, okay, we can make this happen. Vetheo does go that little bit too far, where now you're separated. I mean, you've got your Maokai clearing wards and river. He's not really in a position. Look at where the damage dealer on Patrik is. He's super far away. And this from Crownie, that IE, the fact that got completed right before this fight, he's created this little safety net for himself between all those traps, and Nuke follows up beautifully to help Crownie finish this one off.
And because Labrov stayed alive so long and every member of XL was focusing on him, Crownie just stood and free-fired. He just became basically the Death Star, just firing at will, burning through XL. So now we've got Soul versus Baron. Xerxe throws the ult down. This will push BDS back for a moment or two. The minion wave has been cleared out. And it is a minor advantage here for BDS. Crucially though, 2 minutes until Elder. That cannot go to XL.
And this is where the fact you get Soul is also a double-edged sword for XL, because you still don't have the team fighting squad. That's on the side of BDS. Now you've got this potential game ender that's come into the equation where you have to fight for the Elder, and BDS have the control.
They do indeed. Using that Red Bull Baron power play to push into the base. Vetheo used the Destiny to shove in the top lane, get something back. And then keep your eyes on Crownie. He's sitting 700 gold bounty, 403, up 3.7k over Patrik. And Vetheo has still not left that top lane. He's pushing onto the Nexus turret while XL have lost their bottom Nexus turret. The inhibitor turret, the inhibitor will fall as well. And BDS now in control of the Rift. A minute until Elder. They have to reset and get in position to fight.
Yeah, I mean, nice job there from Vetheo. He was looking, going, look, we can't defend against the Baron push, but waited in the bush to see if anyone from BDS was going to reset. And when he didn't, he just called the bluff. Doesn't get the inhibitor, which does suck a little bit. Would love to have that pressure as this Elder Dragon's about to spawn, but it does mean XL coming out of their base, starting to get that vision down, but they could be separated.
Yeah, it feels that way. Nuke just hit level 18 himself. All that additional burst damage to his name. Crownie sitting with that QSS as well. That could be crucial in case he finds that be the target of a gold card. With 30 seconds before the Elder. Now the mid lane is being sieged. Odoamne pushing bottom. Nuke pushing top. He has teleport available, as does Odo. Xerxe not pulling the trigger on that ultimate just yet. And it does look like BDS, they've taken another tower, they've backed away. They're playing the map this time around with the fact that Baron helped them so much.
But they're on the wrong side of the map. They need to be over by Elder. The fact that you've managed to push them up towards the top side of XL is a win here. Now they get to move in, but Vetheo has to deal with top side, so it gives momentary respite for BDS to move back into this river and try and reclaim control over this objective.
The thing is, it's so hard. The damage from XL is leaps and bounds behind their opposition. Crownie 2 levels up, an item up as well. Patrik only level 15, 1, 5, and 2. XL in the river, they're inside the Elder Pit.
Big mistake from BDS though. Crownie doesn't get to set up his traps. They needed to hold onto these choke points. XL are now in river.
But the thing is, BDS has forced XL back. Nuke has teleported in behind. Uses the Hourglass, buys some time. Sheo's already used the Prisoner. Nuke forced to flash it defensively. Use that ultimate. He's taken the Hex Gate away. The Elder has reset, and XL, they've survived. They've got the TP. They've got a few ultimates. And XL, they're sticking on the Elder. BDS need to pull off a miracle here. If they lose the Elder, they could lose the game. Continuing to siege. Nuke very, very low. Stepping forward. This Elder's taking a long time to go down, Dagda.
The poke is so strong from XL. Nuke is jumped on.
Odoamne stunned him up. He slipped inside the shroud. Dashes over the wall once again. Elder's now inside the pit. Follow the hit points. 4,000. It's slowly reset. Odo goes in once more. Final spot. XL pick it up. XL find the kills. And XL, what do they do with this?
Well, they need to go defend their base. Super minions are going immediately for the Nexus, but XL pull it out of the bag. The poke from Patrik and Vetheo with the rapid fire cannon meant that they were able to hold, but now you're gone back. Vetheo will hold on to one. The creeps will be cleared out, but can XL end the game? You've still got Crownie, you've still got Adam and Labrov. Keep your eyes on Adam. Flash, Ghost available. He needs to set up his team here to hold on.
He has to find a squishy. He has to deal the damage. Minions have been cleared out from the Nexus of XL. They lost one of those turrets. Inhibitor secured in the middle lane. Crownie sidesteps that piercing arrow. Shot on the straps. Destroys Targamas. Now turns and starts to focus down Odo. He's untouched. He's unstoppable. And it's all of a sudden BDS defending their Nexus. Xerxe, it jumped on the Decimate. Heal is huge. The guillotine interrupted. Patrik dropped as well. Crownie's looking for more as Xerxe and Vetheo are running for their lives. 50-second death timers. The ace in the hole. Body blocked by Vetheo. That's a dash forward from Sheo. Xerxe gets a small heal from that as Crownie is popped. Crownie is taken down. Now Sheo, he's in trouble. He's forced to run away. The Elder Dragon bites hard.
The fact that they nearly turned that with the Elder Dragon says a lot. Nuke, though, wants to go for the end. Look at the size of the wave that's in bot side. If you can get Vetheo, they can look for the end, but Nuke doesn't look like he can catch him. Flash is available.
He's got the flash. He needs to land shot. Not going to be able to do so. Vetheo steps out of vision. And all of a sudden, we are now once again in a dead even game state. XL unable to get past Crownie.
Crownie was a beast in this fight. Look at the positioning. He's constantly able to threaten on towards Vetheo, threaten on towards Patrik this whole time. And the second Patrik tries to go in, Crownie knows in straight up just damage, he will beat him out regardless of the Elder Dragon. He tears them apart, but this is where it starts to fall apart. This is where you see these new Maokai builds coming in clutch. Demonic Embrace. Look at the damage on Crownie coming through from just all these little saplings coming in. That's what kills Crownie on the backside.
I mean, those wild cards and those sapling tosses destroying the HP bar. Bloodthirster shield had been burned through. And now, okay, Nexus turret drop. Super minions in the bottom lane, super minions in the middle lane. We are 3 minutes from the next Elder. Baron is up. And all of a sudden, the next team fight can determine the game.
And this is where we got to see if BDS can try and step up. I mean, we've obviously had these guys that like Adam and Crownie that have been in the LEC before, but this is where you got to show that this is where you belong. We saw one mistake from Crownie there where he ends up getting caught out by the saplings, but I want to see now against the veteran lineup that XL are bringing to the table, can BDS show up again at this Baron fight?
I mean, we're 40 minutes into this game, and let's be fair, it has been an interesting one. BDS was an exceptional early game, but unable to get deep into XL's territory meant the split push power and the additional teleport helping XL regain control. We're still in a scenario now where the next fight can end it. Ace in the hole will be used. That's a big chunk of damage on Patrik, and they are backing away to the Baron pits.
Inhibitors respawn on bot side, which is why XL are able to go for this. Now going in blind, though, what can BDS do? Targamas?
Oh, gets to take some damage. Baron is low, and Baron will be secured by XL. BDS have started the fight as Nuke's jumped onto Targamas. He's escaped with his life. Vetheo caught inside the Raptor camp. He's dropped by Crownie. Baron for one death. All of a sudden, BDS, they smell blood in the water. There's no turrets in mid and bottom lane. They're a little bit split up as Adam is catching the wave and Crownie is catching the inhib.
Nuke is TPing onto this bot wave after the reset. He's going to be able to push in. Crownie outranging a lot of people here. This is where it starts to get dangerous now because both inhibitors being down for that Elder Dragon in 2 minutes is going to make it so difficult for XL to try and compete.
And for XL, the fact they've got those Baron minions will help just a little bit, considering the fact that Vetheo is still 30 seconds away from spawning. Chain of Corruption forced to be inched away from them, the Mikhails rather. As all of a sudden, Crownie and Labrov, the rest of the squad, back out, clear out XL's jungle. They've got one inhibitor. They have that for another 4 minutes. Their inhibitor will respawn in just over a minute, and we may be setting up for another fight around second Elder.
Holding on to that bot inhibitor is huge for XL. It means that they don't have to worry about super creeps pushing in 2 lanes. Now they can just focus on clearing out mid and then walking into that bot side river altogether. BDS on reset though, need to push out top. Right now, I still give the edge to BDS in a straight up fight as long as they can correctly set it up and hit these skill shots, because you just don't really have as much damage on XL as we talked about. You know, this is where you start to see the problems that we talk about XL. Having this poke Varus, not having a lot of damage on this TF. Odo is in a good spot now. I feel like this is the guy we need to keep our eyes on for XL. Can he carry this team fight?
Oh man, so many of those questions. We have case study evidence throughout the course of this game. BDS have had moments where they've set up well, but I think around the Barons and the Dragons, XL have had their number. However, XL have also made mistakes. They've overchased. They haven't landed the necessary skill shots, and that is what has allowed BDS to come right back into it. 30 seconds on the clock, a number of wards behind the XL lines, but there's no TP available for Nuke.
The fact that XL have actually managed to shove out these waves and get vision control is crucial though. They've managed to push all those super minions right the way back into the base, so BDS have to go into this blind, and that's exactly what you want as XL with all the lockdown from Vetheo, from Patrik, from Xerxe. It makes it so hard now for BDS to contest. They need to shove mid and move in as a 5-man unit through this river.
I mean, observers, if you can toggle the vision as BDS make their way through their own jungle, look at this. Look at the limited information they've got to work with. Sheo, why are you on the top of the map? Why are you away from Elder? BDS, I don't even know if they know what's happening. Are they conceding
Just, yeah.
Are they giving up a second Elder at 43 minutes and investing, banking on the fact that when their backs are against the wall, Crownie may be able to outrange and outdamage everything XL throws at him. This is the Leonidas 300 strat. It has to work for BDS.
It didn't really end well for Leonidas though, to be perfectly honest, and I'm worried about it for BDS here as well. The poke that you have from Vetheo, from Patrik, the ability to kind of set up underneath these towers, spread yourselves across the map is going to be so crucial here as they look to take these inhibitors. You already see Odoamne TPing back into mid. You got Vetheo who can start to chip away at this inhibitor on top, on mid, and then just draw BDS around the map. This is, I mean, even with the Hex Soul as well, just doing that AoE damage, I think that's the mistake that broke the camel's back here for BDS.
I feel like that was the fight they had to take and they had to win. Keep your eyes on those HP bars where that little white line is. That's where the Elder Dragon's gonna pop up and say, hello. XL trying to chip away. They've got 2 inhibitors secured, looking for the 3rd in the bottom lane. Their own inhibitor will respawn in a minute and a half, but you can also feel the nerves, the tension. XL don't actually want to go head-to-head, front-to-back team fight because of the damage they've got, because of how much work Crownie has done. 6 items in his inventory, no boots available to him. He has to be in a perfect position. Nature's Grasp has been thrown. The inhibitor is now the focus.
Look at where Vetheo is though, moving in towards this mid lane again, just threatening these flanks all the time. That's 3 inhibitors down for XL. Super minions are going to start streaming into the base, and these Nexus towers are not long to stand.
Crownie's still got his flash, still got his cleanse, stepping forward, trying to find an auto attack. We'll use that 90 caliber net to safety. 1 wave has been cleared out, but 1 Nexus turret is about to fall. Sheo throws out the prison. Insta-cleanse from Patrik. Here comes Crownie. He hasn't been able to fire just yet. That's already 1. Sheo's dropped. Odo's looking for Adam, who makes it into the fountain. Nuke on the back line, trying to hunt down Vetheo, and he does not find the kill. All of a sudden, Crownie and Adam, they take down Odo. They've defended the base for now. 4 members of XL alive. 3 members of BDS. The next focus will be the 2nd Nexus turret. Crownie's going to force to 90 caliber away. No flash, no cleanse. Patrik finds the piercing arrow. Crownie's looking for a target. Can't find it just yet. Multiple minions hammering away at the Nexus. And the 4 members of XL will finally close out this game.
It was a hard-fought fight for XL. It took everything and more to get them across the finish line, but they will put that W in the column. That was a tense one.
I am exhausted. What a game. The entirety of it was a game of inches, and you could really see both team compositions doing what they were designed to do. I will say, however, that once we got out of that laning phase, it became a little rough. There's things to review, there's things to learn for both of these squads.
Yeah, huge amounts. And I mean, the fact that we saw kind of the early game fall apart a little bit for XL, definitely not setting them up for success coming into the mid game, but I think just really great understanding of how to play the map. And I think that does lend itself to the veterancy that are on the squads. Like, how do we try and use Vetheo in a side lane to draw a nuke up, to buy time for dragons, to then get these little advantages for ourselves accruing. But I mean, we had 2 Elders, 2 Barons,
Yeah.
I mean, everything in this game.
5 inhibitors, the longest game of the year thus far. And I think ultimately some of that experience and understanding of the comp and the rift helping XL. That passage of play from like 25 minutes to 35. It was slow, it was drawn out, but XL did not get punished themselves. They overchased once, but they played it, they got the objectives they needed to, and they bought enough time to curate that final win.
Yeah, and it's a bit of heartbreak there for BDS as well on the opposite side, right? A few skill shots go wide, cost them in the end, especially when we're looking towards like second Rift Trial and these kind of things. That could have been their moment to put a stamp on the game, even giving up Elder at the end.
Yeah.
Felt like there was just a few mistakes that really cost them in the end.
Yeah, player of the game nominees at LEC on Twitter, Odo, Xerxe, and Vetheo. And with the fact that XL pick up that win, I think we now have 4 or 5 teams at 1 win and 2 losses after week 1. It's interesting because there's only 6 more games. So whoever's going to be in that 9-10 slot does not advance to the group stage.
And that's not exactly what it would be. I mean, especially in this new format, it feels like getting to the best of 3, you really get to show your stuff, show what you're capable of. But
Yeah.
I mean, being knocked out already is not exactly going to be something that you want to find yourself in.
Every game counts. Congratulations to XL. We're going to head on stage where Laure is standing by with Vetheo.
Thank you, Quickshot. Vetheo, thank you for joining me. I don't even know where to start, honestly. Sum up this game for me. If you had to find a word to define what happened this game, which one would it be?
I mean, I think this game shows how bad we are right now. And I think it just shows that we have to improve a lot if we want to do good this year. And I think there is nothing to say. I think we played, I guess, macro fine, but I think we are playing pretty poorly. And then we really need to work on this to get better.
I think it's kind of surprising because when you think of the mix of players built for XL, the expectations were higher. Does what you've been doing on stage so far match what happened in scrims? Or, I don't know, is it different? What would you say?
I mean, I think it's obviously different. We play way worse, at least I feel, on stage. But I think there's some issue that we have in streams that we have on stage, and I think it just show. Yeah, I think we have to lot of stuff to work on, but at the same time, I feel like we have a completely new roster. Mm-hmm. Like nobody played with each other last year compared to most of the team. I think we just have 5 really good players put together, and then we have to work on something right now. I think we need to find a way to fix it. But I mean, I'm still really confident because I believe in every one of my teammates and on myself a lot. And I think we can do a lot of great things if we work hard, and we can fix all the issue we have right now.
Yeah, and talking on a personal level, Vetheo, I know what you're capable of, and you haven't been able to display this on stage so far. As we said, it's just week 1. You can still bounce back, you can still find each other. But you personally, what has been preventing you from performing to the level we know you?
I mean, I would say there's a lot of bad stuff happening early game, kind of all around the map, and then it's pretty hard. I feel to really do what I do, and then I feel like I play kind of a different style of champion. It's first time I play TF in competitive.
Yes.
And I think I want to work on this part too, because I can for sure play like champs like Akali, Sylas, and be really good at it. But I think if I want to be the best mid laner, I need to be good at everything. And but I think it's hard to really play that great with everything happening bad around the map. And yeah.
Silver linings. I know that you playing Twisted Fate shows that you have faith in your teammates, and it's really nice seeing you playing a new kind of champions on the mid lane. We're gonna have your jungler on the desk in just a few seconds. Anything you can tell me about working with Xerxe, how he is as a jungler, and the synergy between the two of you?
I mean, I would say Xerxe really remembers me of Razork when I played, and when I joined the league. I think he's someone really, really nice outside of the game, and it's really easy to get along together. And it's like there are more. I mean, I feel like there are more people that plays for me, well, like at least in streams, and then I can really play the best I can with this kind of players. And I really enjoy with Xerxe. I think our synergy is pretty bad right now, and but I'm sure that with how he is and how I feel I am, we'll get better. We can improve between each other, and then we will just have better synergy and be really good together.
Yeah, it's just a matter of synergy, and hopefully you guys can find each other and the rhythm you need in the time you have left. Vetheo, merci beaucoup pour l'interview. I'll let you join the fan meet. And back to you, Sjokz, with Xerxe on the desk about this game.
Merci beaucoup. Il y a tant de français, hein? But we have Xerxe here and Guldborg. You don't have an in there, so you didn't actually hear what he was saying. But Laure asked Vetheo about how it was working with you, and he said that you're very nice and it's cool to work with you and all that, and that he has the faith that your synergy is going to develop as everything goes on. So yeah, that's cool.
That's very nice of him. Yeah, I mean,
do you agree?
No, I mean, I agree. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I feel like right now we are. I mean, we had a bit of a rough start. Thank God we managed to get over, right?
Yeah.
Like a 0-2 weekend have been very rough. But I feel like we're going to a period where we are still trying to form an identity, because I feel like we're kind of missing that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he was saying comparatively to the other teams, you all came from somewhere else, right? Whereas to other teams, there were also big changes in crucial roles, but not necessarily everyone was changed. There is some existing synergy there, I can imagine, from the past with Odo maybe, but it's a hard puzzle to figure out, right? What do you prioritize in a situation like that when obviously there's a lot to fix?
Well, that's the thing, because like I felt like until this week, we were actually doing really good. And we were kind of like, I guess, getting on the same page. But, like something happened. I can't explain myself. I have no idea.
Okay.
Where just the last week hasn't been that great, to say the least. So, maybe that could have affected our confidence a bit going to this weekend. And to be honest, I don't feel like, our schedule was that easy.
No.
Well, starting with G2, like absolutely murdering us, was not fun. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure getting today's win and being able to practice next week and kind of like know what we really need to work now with the games being played on stage, and we know what we're lacking, what we're bad at. I think we should have like a better idea going to next week.
Yeah, sometimes when you're down in the gutter and things are not working out, what you just really need for you is you need one win. You need like a good thing that can build up things where you can say, right, this is the foundation we built up. And I was actually going to ask you about your foundation as a player as well, because on Astralis, I felt like there was a lot of pressure on you, especially because it was about you finding leads as well. We quite often saw you on the Wukong, Viego at times as well, trying to take agency for yourself. In this roster, it's not necessarily the same situation. We see you today on Maokai as well. You talk about having to develop a kind of team style. Where do you think you fit in this new XL roster? What do you need to do?
I mean, for me, I feel like my biggest strength as a player has always been being able to adapt to my team, and like I've been always like very open-minded. So in a way, like whatever like I see that we're lacking or we need in this team to function, I am very fast like picking that up. So that's like one of my biggest strengths. So I guess that's what we're like still figuring out, how we want to play, what we want to do.
Yeah, of course. And it's natural. I I have some bad news, I guess, because your next opponents are Mad Lions, Fnatic, and if you could scroll, and Astralis, which is a little bit of a grudge match as well. So it's not the...
That's not bad.
It's okay.
Fnatic is 0-2, right? Wait, who are they playing today?
Today, they are playing... is it Vitality later on? No, wait.
No, because...
Hang on. No, who Fnatic are playing later? Koi. Koi. Yeah, the ones you played yesterday.
Okay, worst case, they will be the same score as us, right?
Yes, that's true.
So it's not that bad.
No, it's okay, for sure. I want to take a look at some highlights from the game because it was crazy. You were asking us when you stepped on this, you were like, was it boring? And I was like, no, this was super interesting
I don't know,
from our perspective.
In game, I was like, we are just waiting for, objective, and then we take a team fight, and I don't know, like 5 minutes between every Drake. I was getting bored like playing this game, honestly.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what's the approach to the kind of thing? Because obviously you have great setup. Maokai will run them down. Who are you worried about in these team fights? Why did it become so tricky despite your team having, good CC with TF Stun, Varus, Maokai? Why was it so difficult?
Why did you didn't finish here?
Wait, do we not finish?
Oh no, this is it. No, it was the one before where you didn't finish.
Oh
sorry.
yeah, I mean we don't talk about that. That didn't happen. But I mean, like you look at the team comp and you think that it's like it is pretty straightforward. You are kind of like a ball. You keep poking. You throw some abilities. You hit. You kill someone. You don't hit. You wait for the cooldowns, right? But I guess like there were some moments in game where like I guess we lost focus or didn't keep. We didn't like track properly. The Akali with the Hex gates as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the map also like made it a bit more difficult. Like always the fact that Darius could take the Hex gate behind you, like he doesn't have TP, right? So he can like goes behind you. So I think there were like some key moments where like we didn't track properly.
Okay, just the tracking, because when you look at it actually from an experience perspective, Xerxe should be better at kind of the setting up for objectives. And I do feel that showed in a lot of the Dragon fights. Obviously, that's why you ended up with so many, right? Did you feel that when you were playing the game, like, hey, our decision making is actually a bit more on point because like they just let the final Elder Drake go, for instance, right? And that allowed you to
I was scared for my life, honestly.
You were?
In those Drakes, I was like, please, man.
Okay, so no.
No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I feel like the setup is kind of easy because I'm playing Maokai, so my job is just throw some saplings in every bush that I can possibly see on my screen, right? And I'm gonna have like the whole area on the dragon, like just like mini wars, right? So the setup is pretty easy and straightforward once we're in the river.
Yeah, it felt like the setup was there. So despite like the fact that your bot lane got 2v2 killed, I think Odo died on top side as well in an instance as well. Despite the I'm not sure this.
I was just gonna say that's like just small details, minor details.
Okay, minor details. Solo kills, who cares about that? But what I was gonna say, it felt like despite all of that, you guys were in control of around the objectives. You guys were making a cruise. So I was just curious. Is it just like mid to late game where it's just like we don't know what comms is going wrong? Is that the thing? All of a sudden we just get too stressed out and we just want to finish fast. Like how do you go from a point where you struggle, you actually cruise and you're in control, and then you lose control?
Well, the way I guess I could see like this weekend, I feel like we were like struggling a lot in the early game, and then we were like kind of able to pick some small wins in mid game. Like for example, yesterday against Koi, when Odoamne got like a double kill on Silent, right? Like I feel like we start the game with like a kind of a big disadvantage when we have like, let's say a team comp that's supposed to win in the early game, and then we have a harder time than we should in mid game, but we like get small wins, and then we just find a way to throw it, I guess.
Yeah, minor inconvenience, but hopefully less dying in lane probably is gonna help. Right? No, but thank you so much for talking to us, Xerxe. Congratulations on your first win in Winter. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for G2 versus Astralis and a superstar Telestrator by Caitlyn and Ender.